Hello Computer Sevens, this is Mr. Sommerfeld here. This is our first assignment in a new unit called Pixlr. And Pixlr is an online photo editing tool. And the first one that we are going to do is logos. So you'll notice here I have a whole bunch of logos of a lot of recognizable companies that you've probably seen before. And you'll notice that a lot of logos are just geometric shapes. So Colgate, for example, the toothpaste is just a rectangle with words in the middle. Comfort Inn, a square. DHL, JVC, KFC, Kit Kat. All these things are, Volkswagen is a circle, Mercedes-Benz is a circle. So all these things are just fairly simple geometric shapes. So we're gonna do a tutorial that shows you basically how to do something like this, and I've provided the image for you to do, and then the rest we can do in the actual program of Pixlr. So you'll notice on our website that if you download the Hammer PNG file, download it to somewhere that you'll be able to find it. So on the desktop of your computer in a folder somewhere that you'll be able to go back and relocate it. So go to your toolbar or either Google and type in pixlr.com/editor, and it'll bring you to a it'll bring you to a window that looks like this. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to create a new image. The preset of this image we want to do is 280 by 280, and I want you to name it right away with your last name. So mine is Sommerfeld, and I'm going to call it logo. We do want to make it transparent, so if you have all this stuff, then you can click OK. From there, what we can do is we want to add a new image. We want to open an image. Now we go and we find where we saved that Pixlr graphic. So for me, I had it in a folder. I found it. For you, it might be on your desktop or in your downloads. But I named it Hammer PNG, so you can open it. So we have it right over here. So you'll notice it's fairly large, and it might not fit quite into our logo layer that we have. So it's actually bigger. You can see 297 by 298. We're only 280. So what we want to do here, because it's selected, we want to then select. We then want to free transform it. So while holding down your Shift key, grab the top corner, and then that proportionately sizes it. Okay, so size it down to something that looks appropriate, something that you'll be able to work with. And yes, we want to apply those changes. So from here, what we want to do is we want to cut that image. Select that, edit, cut, and then over here we want to paste it. Okay, so let's try that again. Computer's going a little slow right now. Select all. You want to Command X or cut, and Command V, and you'll notice it created another layover here. That is good. We can X out of this, and we don't want to save the image, so click No. So now we're working on our logo here. It looks about the right size. Now what we want to do is add the circle in behind the logo. So what we need to do is add new layer, and the new layer function, if you hover over it, is this little button right here. So click new layer, and you'll notice it gives us layer 2. Now what we want to do is we want to add with the ellipse tool, it's called, is we want to add an oval. The opacity is 100. We don't need to change that. You can leave the mode at normal. We don't want a border on it, however, so click that over to 0. And you can then make your oval whatever color you want. Well, I like blue. That's a favorite color of mine, so I'm just going to pull this dial around to a blue and then pull this dial over to this side, and then you can change the shade of it. So I like that shade right there. I'm going to go with that. So I'll click OK there. Now I'm going to draw an oval. And you'll notice that it goes over the hammer, so what we need to do is we need to reorder these so the hammer is in front. So yours should look like this. If it doesn't, you need to go back and watch the video and see what you're doing wrong. With layer number 2 being highlighted, this will allow us to then make adjustments to it. We then click on Free Transform. This will allow us to resize it, holding the Shift key. So we want to make it a bit bigger. That looks good, and we may want to just tweak it that way a little bit. And I also want to move it down to look something like that, and then we can click off of it. Yes, we want to apply those changes. Now, within layers, we can add styles, and we want to do this. So we want to add a drop shadow to our oval, and you'll notice down here that it adds a little shadow. If you double click on that, you'll be able to see you can change the distance. So you can notice the changes there. I like a distance of about 15 looks good. If you change the size, you'll notice what it does. Let's just leave that at 0. And then also the angle. So you can have it go back that way, this way. Because the shading of the hammer already in the image is going that way, I think it would look most professional and appropriate if the shadow of the circle is going that way as well. So that about right there, I would think. So 155 degrees for this one. Looks good, so we'll click OK. One thing that's a big no-no that I should have done right at the start is saved this image. So File, Save. Sommerfeld logo is good. We want to go to the highest quality of 100, and we want to save it as a PXD file. What this will do is this will allow us to come in and continue to work on this image with all of its layers over here. If not, it's just one layer and one image, and you can't manipulate it. So it has to be a PXD file. That is critical. And we then click OK. Then it's going to ask us where we want to send it, save it. If you have a jump drive or a flash drive, you want to save it there. If not, go to your desktop, create a new folder, call it Pixlr. Whoops. Call it, the computer's acting up on me, so call it Pixlr, create, and then Sommerfeld logo PXD will be absolutely perfect. Okay, so that is good. We did that. I should have done that right at the start. Now what we need to do is we need to add some text for the company name, because logos oftentimes have text. So the first thing we'll do here is let's add some text. So because it's hammer, I'm going to call it hammer time. So that's okay now, and then I'm going to also do another one here, and they're going to be 2 individual ones. So that's okay. Now I want to manipulate them a little bit, and so I need to click on the arrow tool. Actually, no, I need to click back on the text tool. It's not wanting to let me do what I want it to. I should be able to manipulate. Oh, I forget. What I needed to do is click over here on the layer. Well, this is, there we go. So you click on the text, the tool type text, and then just so you can get the text box in here again. So we have that. I like Impact as a font, so I'm going to go down and find Impact. You can choose whichever one that you feel is appropriate. I'm going to go to about a good size that spans across, so the hat looks good. We don't need bold, and I'm going to change it to a color that really makes it pop, really makes it stand out, possibly like a yellow. Okay, and really bright. So that's looking good. Click OK. I'll do the same for the time. So I have that. I'm going to change it to impact. Change it to, I think I had size 60. And then a yellow color. Brightest yellow color you can find. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to make sure I'm the same size though. And I should be able to somehow figure this out. Anyways, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to move now, time down here, and you notice that you can only move the layer that you have highlighted, so I want to move it so they look pretty good. So you have to click back and forth between the layers, and that's looking pretty good. Now, we can also add styles to this, and you have to add some sort of a style. So I'm going to add a drop shadow, and you'll notice that the time shows up. Okay, and hammer, I'm going to also add a drop shadow there. So you got to go with the styles, drop shadow. Okay, the neat thing here is if you click here, you can also change the color. So you may want to use a tad bit different color to just kind of make it really stand out. Yeah, I don't really like that so much, unless we take the distance down a little bit. Keep the opacity where it was. I'm going to change the shadow of it so it's kind of... And you know what, I really don't like the color I've chosen, so I'm going to use maybe a bit different color, maybe even a green. We'll try that. Okay, that makes it stand out decently. We'll go with that. But I need to make it, the distance come off a little bit. There we go, I like that. So time, do the exact same thing with it. Gotta go to the styles, drop shadow. I'm going to change it to that green color. Okay, we want to change the location of it so it matches. We want to bring the distance in a little bit, and that's looking pretty good. Okay, so the company is called Hammer Time. You may even want to make the letters more opaque, or you may want to mess around here with a little bit. You may like a bevel. I like it the way it is though. The opacity, however, is keep it at about 60, 59, 60-ish. So time, yeah. You know, maybe instead of having, we want to have it with italics, we could change that around. So just play around with maybe what you think might be the best for yours. You don't have to have these same colors, and if you notice it changed it, so I need to change that back to being regular. Anyways, so once you're done that, file, save again. Make sure you're saving it as a PXD. So you've done that, and it's called Summerfelt logo. And it's going to ask you to where you're going to want to save it again. Click the same spot, and then because you've already got one there, do click replace when you're done. And that's basically how you make a logo. Thanks for tuning in.